Pranam Acharya ji. In one of the previous sessions, you mentioned that listening does not need to involve memory. If something is actually understood, then it is not needed to be remembered. Somehow this is not my experience. Most often when I listen to you, and even when I feel that I have understood, I have a habit to go back to the recording and listen again with my full attention until I feel I have totally got it. This does not stop here. I like to listen to some old videos multiple times, and each time I feel I found something new. I don't feel satisfied until I remember each question and the gist of your response in a session. Not sure why I do that. Am I kidding myself in the name of understanding? Ever grateful, Alok. Alok, I said when something is understood, then it becomes much deeper than memory. It gets sublimated. It gets dissolved. It becomes a part and parcel of your being. You cannot then point at it. It gets very spread out and starts flowing in the system. It is no more localized. It is no more amenable to be captured in words. It's as if the words have yielded their subtle juice, and the juice is much more delicate, precious, and amorphous than words. Words are like envelopes. To make the point clear, I would say words are like hollow stones. Hollow stones containing precious nectar inside them. Nectar that is attempted to be conveyed, communicated through words, but is neither wordly nor worldly. You bring a precious medicine to your home. It is contained in a bottle. What do you keep handling actually? What do you touch? What do you carry? The bottle. The bottle is worthless, of so little value. The medicine is priceless. But do you throw the bottle away? You indeed do throw the bottle away. But when? When the medicine has been fully absorbed in your system. If you have taken in the medicine fully, well, gladly throw away the bottle. And as long as you have not really taken in the full dose, the full import, the full utility, if you throw the bottle away, then you have not only thrown the bottle away, you have done yourself a disservice, because it is in the middle of the process, not merely a bottle. It is standing for something much bigger than itself. So I told you that a point comes when the listener need not keep carrying bottles, but that is when the bottle has been fully exhausted, not before that. Not before that. And there is no limit on when and how quickly the bottle can be exhausted. It depends on your thirst and your capacity to assimilate. If you are so very present to the Guru that you can capture, assimilate the full import of his words in one go, then you need not remember the words at all. And that is possible. With many of you, that sometimes does happen. But most of the times that is not going to happen. The bottle will come to you and you would not have the capacity, the receptivity, the patrata to get all of it in that fleeting instant. The word comes to you and goes. And if you have not been completely open, then you miss the chance, either fully or partially. Sometimes the bottle comes to you and it does not even get uncorked, and you pass it away. It came. It's as if the thing bypassed you. You kept physically sitting, ostensibly hearing, but not listening at all. And sometimes it happens that your mind is like the thirsty, parched summer earth. Drops fall on the parched earth, and it so willingly, so hungrily, so desperately soaks them in. Have you seen that happen? The first raindrops falling on dry earth. They fall and they disappear, leaving behind no trace at all. And it's instantaneous. The drop falls, and in no time it is gone. The earth is like a lover waiting with open arms. The doors are open. The mind is open. There has been a great patient waiting. Now when the beloved has arrived, how can there be a delay? If you are that parched and that eager, that thirsty, that desperate, then you need not remember anything. Just the presence of the teacher will be sufficient. Sometimes that is the case. Sometimes that is not the case. So, forgetting is important. Yes, Alok, forgetting is very, very important. Forgetting what? That which can be forgotten. Only words can be forgotten. Forgetting is important. But remembering till you forget is equally important. Because you cannot forget if you don't properly remember. That is why in the Indian tradition it has been very important to remember. The entire Vedic literature was verbally transmitted from one generation to other. Its very name is Shruti. That which is heard. Oral transmission. And there was emphasis on correct pronunciation, because nothing is being written down. If you pronounce it wrongly, then who knows what transforms into what. So you must remember. Memory definitely has its use. Memory has two uses, and both are very important. Listen carefully. The first use is that if you do not remember the words of the Gurus, then you will remember something else. The mind has a tendency to dwell in memories. The mind will always want stuff. If it is not this stuff, then it is going to be that stuff. If it is not the words of the wise ones that you remember, then you will remember all kinds of obnoxious social propaganda and contaminating rubbish. Remember you will, so you better remember the right things. Most of us are not yet in a stage where the mind is content, roaming freely and burdenless. We crave for burdens. We crave for objects to fiddle with. We must have something in our hands. Haven't you experienced that? If you have nothing to think of, if you have nothing to play with, if you have no problems, then you start feeling uneasy. Don't you? A Sunday morning, nothing to do, and you have been conditioned to have stressful mornings. For 6 days of the week, your mornings are hell. Hellish at least. And then here is this Sunday. And you can't go to your workstation. So you start creating troubles at home. Don't you? If I can't banter or quarrel with my colleagues and boss and clients, then I would quarrel with my wife or my parents today. Or I'll dig out some old problem and try to resolve it. Is that problem really worthy of dissolution, or should it just have been ignored? But in the name of keeping yourself busy, you will always keep your plate full. Won't you? And that seems to you like a purposeful life. Otherwise, you call it a wasted Sunday. On Thursdays, you ask your colleagues, so what's up for the weekend? You expect that there must be a plan even for the weekends. You expect that even the weekends must be full. That should tell you something about your mind. It cannot tolerate emptiness. Getting it? So, if you do not remember the words of the teacher, then it is not as if your mind would be empty. It would rather be full of some nonsense. To crowd out that nonsense, to expel, to push out that nonsense, you need something that is stronger, more legitimate, and more grounded than that nonsense. That's why you need the words of the teachers. They beat away the rubbish in the mind. Does that mean that they merely substitute what was previously existing in the mind? No. The scriptures have compared the words of the teacher to camphor. You know camphor? Kapoor. What's special about camphor?
It turns from solid to gas, burns instantly.
What's that called? Sublimation. It sublimates. It sublimates. It does not leave a residue behind. So camphor comes and you burn camphor, you get light. And there is light, and there is light, and after light there is just nothing. No residue or trace or dirt is left behind to be cleaned later. Such are the words of the teacher. They are fire and light. They'll burn away nonsense and then they will disappear. It's not as if they will leave some ash or dust behind. That's not going to happen. Getting? That's the first use of remembering. The second use of remembering is that the words contain stuff that is extremely hard to be decoded in the first go itself. You hear stuff and you think you got it, but it rarely would happen that you would get it in the first instance itself. It won't happen. That's why again I refer to the Indian tradition. The tradition is to read and reread and reread and do that all your life. One small Upanishad in terms of length. In terms of its length. One small Upanishad and you are supposed to read it all your life. Even the Bhagavad Gita is just 18 chapters. But haven't you seen devotees reading it over and over again and again? Because it is unlikely to yield itself out in just a few readings. Are you getting it? Jap. Recite the same words again and again. Bhaj. Sing it. How many times? Innumerable times. Tap. Burn the nonsense away for a while, continuously. Do you see that all of these, jap, bhaj, tap, they are spread out over vast lengths of time, probably your entire lifespan. Because we are unlikely to see the full revelation instantaneously. However, that does not mean that instantaneous miracles cannot happen. They do happen. But remember, unless you are like that parched earth, they won't happen. So, remembering is important and forgetting is important. Both have their uses. Why do then I appear to lay great stress on not trying to memorize my words during the sessions? This too must be carefully understood. Otherwise, you will perceive a contradiction. when you are right here in front of me, then the relationship is that of attention. The bottle is very, very secondary here. What I am serving you is freshly brewed. So here, as you are in front of me, do not bother for the bottle. Drink right from the fountain. Later on the bottle, you find written, containing the freshness of fountains. That is all right, but that is second best. What is best? To drink it
Directly
right from the fountain. You go to the Ganga, and would you be so foolish to carry a bottle along with you in order to drink? Yes? When you go to the Ganga, and I am not talking of the Ganga of Kanpur. I'm talking of the Ganga of Shivpuri or Rudraprayag. How would you drink there? Would the bottle be of any use? Please, how would you drink then?
directly from
Jump into the river. And if you can't jump, take it in your palms and sip it as fresh as it comes. Yes. And when you are coming back, when you find that fate, prarabdha, makes it mandatory for you to return, when you know that you will not be able to be anymore with the Ganga, then what do? Then you fill the bottle and carry it back, and the bottle then is quite respectable and useful. But the bottle has no use when you are right besides the source. So when you are in front of me, I tell you to not to try to remember my words. Here there is a relationship of attention. Just be with me. Just stay connected. Just stay connected. Don't try to remember, because you won't merely remember. When the mind gets something as an object, it doesn't just let it be. What does it do with the stuff? If you give something to the monkey, what will it do with it?
break it,
Play it, open it, break it, something. So if right now you remember my words, you won't merely register them and leave them alone. You will try to analyze them. You will try to dissect them. You will try to compare. You will try to integrate. You will try to synthesize those words to your existing pool of knowledge. And all of that will be a barrier to the simple attention that is needed here. Then instead of being with me, you are with yourself. And what do I mean by with yourself? Not with the Atman. Then you are with your own inner world. You have taken the word, and the word has come from me, and now you are trying to somehow fit that word somewhere in your internal repository. You're trying to find a suitable place for it. You're trying to see what it opposes. You're trying to see to which category, which league it belongs, which room of the inner house can you fit it in. All those questions will start popping up. And here I am, trying to serve you something fresh. And what are you busy with now? You are busy in your entire internal universe. You have lost me. So when you are with me, I tell you to just listen and forget the words. When you are not with me, do go back to the videos. And yes, of course, you will find layers and layers of meanings. Yes, you're right. Every time you listen to the recordings, you will come upon something fresh. But all that can be left to the times when you are not with me for some reason, or for the years when I am gone. So these recordings are there. Then use them gainfully and in plenty. Are you getting it? Here, in front of me, whether you are connected physically or online, don't trouble your mind. Don't trust it, don't trouble it. Just sit. Just sit. Later on, you get the recordings. Do whatever you want to do with them. Good, play with them, because as I said, if you don't play with them, then you play with something else. Yes, play with them. Clear?
Acharyaji, while listening to you, if I am getting a question, that means that's wrong, right? Then because I must be analyzing and trying to find the connection. That's why I...
Not wrong or right. Just see that the question has arisen. And in 9 out of 10 cases, if you continue abiding in the practice, then the question would vaporize on its own. Many of you would have experienced it. You are listening and a question pops up, but if you continue listening, the question disappears, as if the speaker knows the question and has answered it after a while. Clear, Alok?
Acharyaji, while listening, I understand everything which you said, but after that, I forgot everything. I tried to.
Fine. Even I don't remember what I say. How can you remember what I say? Fine. This is not a college classroom. We are not hurrying to complete a syllabus. You're not supposed to remember stuff. You breathe it, right? You don't count the number of breaths, do you? Or do you try to remember how many times have you inhaled and exhaled? You just breathe in and breathe out, and here you are alive. It is something alive. Breathing in and you're alive. It's not about counting stuff. You see, ideally speaking, and I know ideals are just wishful thinking, but ideally speaking, these recordings are not for my lifetime. They should not be for my lifetime. When I am alive, ideally, you should not need the recordings. If I am alive, why are you needing the recordings? If the Ganga is flowing and is still reachable, you are in the vicinity of Ganga, why must you need the bottle? These recordings are for posterity. These recordings are for the long and many years and decades when I'll not be there. And these recordings are for the unfortunate ones who somehow cannot travel to the Ganga. But ideally, you should not be needing them as long as I am alive. When this body is gone, then use them. When this body is there, come up and seek fresh responses.